This video is using the Ohm's Law and the power formula, which is pi or power, P power equals current times voltage. We could also put E times I. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. All right. If you have this formula and this formula down, you can come up with any formula over here in this circle here. Okay. So let's say we want to get from this equation down to this equation. We simply multiply both sides by r, and to show that r is in the top or the numerator, we put it over 1. We're showing that we're multiplying it that way, and we're going to multiply that side by r. So these cancel out, and that leaves us this formula right there. And if you go I times R or R times I, like I said before, the order doesn't matter. Let's say we want to get down from this equation all the way down to this equation, get R by itself. Okay, again, we do the same thing we did here. We get that equation, and then we divide by I on both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. And that leaves us R by itself, giving us this equation. Okay, so we just found, here's E, right? E was right up here. We found this equation right here. This is, we started off with this one. That's this equation. I equals E over R. And of course, our resistance, that was the last one we did, is E over I. So that's this equation. And this should be near and dear to your heart, right? We'll expand on this later on in another video, but that's this equation. Okay? Now, if you got these two equations, this one right here and this one down, you can come up with all of these formulas or all those equations. And what does this do for you? It just gives you a solid foundation on these formulas. In a test environment, you're nervous and you're not thinking straight. Okay? If you got a solid foundation, you don't have to think near as hard about what the formulas are. Okay? So let's we're going to come up with these other two formulas. Okay? We're going to use pi. P equals IE. Now, I'm going to do some substitution. I already know what I is. I from over here is equal to E over R. So I'm going to replace the I. Power equals, I'm going to replace the I with E over R times this E. And I'm going to put it over 1 to show that it's in the numerator, not the denominator. When I multiply straight across, because that's what we do with fractions, E times E is E squared over R. And I just got this equation. Now, I'm going to do the same thing again. This time, I'm going to replace E, because I know what E is. E is I times R. So, power equals my current times this times I times R. If you prefer, we could put everything around parentheses showing multiplication. If you prefer parentheses instead of dots, well, we can simplify this. I times I is I squared, and we have R. And this should sound familiar because it's your I squared R losses. Hopefully you've heard of those hysteresis losses. Hopefully they talked about that in school. Now, we have all three of these formulas. Whoops, for some reason that disappeared. We have all three of these formulas. From here, we can get these other 6 formulas. Okay? So, we're going to, first of all, we're going to start off with our pi. Okay. All right. We're going to start off with our pi. So where's my pen at? Oh, there it is. Okay. Uh, pi. I'm going to get, I'm going to start off with I. I'm going to get I by itself. So I've got to divide both sides by E. And that cancels out. So now I, again, it doesn't matter what side you put these things on. I just flipped them around. I equals P over VE, voltage. Look at this. Here's I. We just found this formula. Now, I'm going to do that one more time, but I'm going to get voltage by itself. Okay? So just like we did before, divide both sides. And we just got E by itself. And that's power over current. Well, here's voltage. We just found this equation. Okay? So that's the easier ones. Not too bad. Okay? So we just got to use these two. Give me another color so we can decipher it. We're going to use this one and this one to get our other four equations. Let's start off with this one. So power equals I squared R. Okay, we're going to divide both sides by I squared. Okay, and of course those cancel out. We got P over I squared right here. R equals P over I squared. Okay, now we're going to do that again, but I'm going to solve for I. Okay, so now to move things back and forth, all you do is do the opposite operation. Okay, so this is I squared times R, right? This was I squared times R. Opposite of multiplication is division. That's why we divided it. If you have a division going on, then you want to do multiplication to move it over. Okay, so I'm going to get the I by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by R. And the R cancels out. So now move my screen down here a little bit. Give me some more room. So now I got P over R equals I squared. Now the opposite of squaring, this is I times I. The opposite of squaring is taking the square root. Okay, that leaves me with I equals, got to move my screen down a little more. I'm running out of room here. Square root of P over R. And lo and behold, here's my I. Here's what we just came up with. Okay, so now let's work on this one. See if we can come up with another color here. We'll do blue again. Well, let's do green. I haven't used green for writing. So, all right. So we're going to use this formula. So E squared over R equals my power. Okay? Now, this is E squared divided by R. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by R. And I'm going to show that's R over 1. That's the same thing as R. So R, my R's cancel out. And I have E squared equals P times R. Now I need to undo the squared term. So the opposite of squaring is taking the square root. And lo and behold, voltage is equal to the square root of PR. And I just found, where's my E? I just found this one. Okay, now we're going to find R by itself, get R by itself. Now, you don't have to. It's a whole lot easier if you just get rid of all of your fractions before you start getting letters by itself. So To get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by r, just like I did up here. Okay? This r goes away, this r goes away. E squared equals power times resistance. To get r by itself, opposite of multiplication is division. The p cancels out, and here's our final equation, which we have here. Where's r? It's right there. There's our final equation. Okay, and I think that's where, oh, real quick, this one, if you want to find power factor, you simply take your watts divided by your volt amps. Okay, if you want to find watts, you multiply your volt amps times your power factor. Okay, if you want to find volt amps, you divide your watts by your power factor. You can do that with your Ohm's law as well. Okay, so we'll make a triangle, and we're going to split it up just like we did here. Okay, we're going to put an I here, an E here, and an R here. So if you want to find current, you divide, oops, get my color here, take your voltage, divide it by your resistance. If you want to find resistance, you take your voltage, divide it by your current. If you want to find voltage, you take I times R. You can create a little pyramid like this for your Ohm's law. Put that in your code book. But I can't stress the importance of being able to come up with all these. Like I said, it just gives you a solid foundation. I hope this helps.